This is going to be a long one, so grab yourself a cup of tea or a snack. Today, we are going to be drafting trousers. As you'll recall, I made the pants that go with the suit, and I had to tailor them, and they still were just okay. So, I'm gonna draft some new ones. For this project, you will need large paper, a see-through ruler, a long measuring stick, a measuring tape, scissors, a hip curve, a curve ruler, some weights, cans of food will work just fine, and a writing utensil. I would normally use pencil for this, but in an effort to make sure that you all can see what I'm doing. First step is to take some measurements. You're going to want to measure the waist to the ankle. You can have someone help you. Mine is 39 inches. Our two main ways to determine your crotch depth. I will demonstrate my preferred method. And sorry, this is awkward. So, place a ruler in your crotch. Get it as close right up in there as you can. Then, put the tape measure so that it just touches the ruler. And where the tape measure is at your waist, which for me is 12.5 inches, that is your crotch depth. The other way that you could determine this, grab a chair, sit in the chair, measure from your waist to the chair. Let's see if I get the same result. 12.5, right on. If you happen to have a ruler that makes a right angle, you could use that instead of the ruler and the tape measure, but I don't have one. By the way, you'll actually want to measure yourself without your pants on, but this is YouTube, I can't just take my pants off. Someone somewhere would frown on that. Measure the waist. Even if you don't want your pants all the way up at your waist, you still have to measure your waist. Oh, I'm having a bad day. It's 28.5 now. Write that down. Not that you really need to know my measurements. The hip is basically the widest part of your butt. Yeah, see? I use the word butt. Today we are at 39. It is also important to know the upper thigh measurement. So whatever is the widest part of your thigh, which for some people is higher than others. Mine's actually maybe an inch below my thigh. So we're at 2.5. Actually, a formula for this. Let me look it up. Yes, I get a lot of my pattern making information from this book, but not all of it. This is the textbook that we used in school. Alrighty then, so here it says, whatever your waist is divided by 4, add a quarter to the front, subtract a quarter from the back, and then do exactly the same thing for the hip. Alright, so let's do that instead, because I like the math better than the where is this measurement? Yeah, we'll do the math version. So my waist is 28. So we'll divide this by 4, which gives us 7 and 8. Add a quarter to the front. Quarter, also known as 2/8. So we have 7 and 3/8 for the front. And then we subtract a quarter for the back. So we will end up with 6 and 7/8. And the last measurement that you'll want is your waist to your knee. 2.5. We are going to start by drawing a line in the middle of the paper. That is the length of your waist to ankle. You'll want it in the middle of the paper because you're going to expand on both sides. So, got my line there. So, we measured our crotch depth. Mine came in at 12.5, so we are going to draw a line that is the crotch depth plus 3/4. 12.5 plus 3/4, 13.25. Mark is 1/3 of 12.25 is 4 and a 12. So we're going to measure up from that line, whatever number you've got that is 1/3 of that one. Okay, so this point here, label it A. Here, D. This one, C. So, C is 1/3 of A to D. So, B to D, B being the bottom of the ankle of the pant, alright? So it's 25 3/4 between the two, and half of that is 12 7/8. So we'll do that there, and then go up 1 inch. The 11 to me. Make a mark there, and label that E. Conversely, what you measured for your waist to knee, you could use that measurement. Especially if you have legs that are not perfectly symmetrical. So this side is the back, and this side is the front. So C to F, this line here, that is the back arc plus 1/4 inch. And out here we will have front arc. What does it mean to square out? to square out is to line up the see-through ruler, line up the line, and then draw a perpendicular line. That's what it means to square out. Square out. Make sure that your line is perpendicular. And then we are going to do the same thing at D. Back hip are close to quarter inch piece. And we're actually going to do the same thing up at the top. This is what it should look like so far. Gotta move this a little bit because whatever measurement that you have here, you're going to add half of that to the end. And the same on the other side, so I'm going to move it again. Have a sufficiently large table. You could just work on the floor if your floor is nice and flat and smooth and not carpeted. And on the front, it's actually going to be a quarter. So 10 and a quarter. Quarter of that, let's see, a quarter of 10 is 2.5 plus a quarter of a quarter is 16, so 2 and 9/16. Gotta add 2 and 9/16 to this. All right. Alright, so I drew lines from the top corners there. And how long is this line? (13 3/8). So half of that (6 11/16). Ugh. It's getting tight here. 6 11/16. Alright, so this, label it as X. X marks the spot. R. And we're going to do the same on the other side, which should be the same measurement. So 6 11/16. We'll mark it as X. here at K on the front of the pant, we are going to mark for 1.5 inches a diagonal line exactly 90 degrees. So my ruler has holes in it that make it very easy to do this. That's why I really like this ruler for this purpose. So we have our dot here, and then we can draw this line. Diagonal line that we just drew in the front crotch area, we are going to use the curved ruler and we are going to draw a curve that goes from X to this point, the point where your crotch should end. And it must touch the very end of this new line that we just drew on the diagonal here. So we have a curved line that starts at X, comes down here, touches this diagonal line, and ends here at the end of the crotch. Got it? On the back, here at point N, I am going to square up an entire inch. And that is because I have a lot of butt. I don't know if you've ever seen like a dress dummy. They have like no ass. So a lot of like pants are designed with a much smaller increase in the back, but if you are someone, again with the butt, if you are someone with a lot of butt, you will want a bigger line here. And that's what I got to say about that. So, bigger butt, bigger line. And here from this point, whether we just drew up here on top of the line, I'm going to draw a line from there to the X. X marks the spot. Alright, this line is going to be straight. Then, same thing that we did on the front, where we square, not square, like 90-degree angle, okay? 90-degree angle out 2 inches in this case. Make a dot, and then draw the line. Okay, now we're ready for the curve. This one may be a little bit harder, and you may have to use different parts of the curve when you draw it. But, essentially, we're going to do the same thing that we did the front. We're going to start at the X, make a curve out that touches this line. And I'm going to rotate my curve just a little bit to make sure that it gets all the way out there. Alright. And now we have the pant. To go over again what this looks like, here's the back. Alright. This line, 2 inches. Up here we have, I put an entire inch because I got a lot of butt. If you got a smaller butt, you will do a smaller line, like 1/4 to 1/2 inch. And draw the straight line to the X. And from the X out here, make a curve that touches the tip of this line. Just like the front. Next, we're going to mark for the darts. Now, depending on how stark is the difference between your waist and your hips, is going to determine how big your darts are. So if you are a slimmer in the hip, then you are going to have smaller darts and less darts. Whereas if you are someone who is built like a wasp with a teeny little waist and really big butt, there, I said butt again, then you're going to have many darts and big ones. Came up with for my back darts. Here, so I went in 3/4 of an inch to make this mark here, and then 3 inches from here. Then each dart is a 1 inch intake. I was originally going to make them bigger, but that would push the side into the front, and that's kind of a problem. We can't have that. We can't have them exceeding into each other like that. So yeah, this is what I came up. These are 4.5 inches long, and my darts will be a 1 inch intake. There'll be 2 of them. Yep, this one comes in 3/4 of an inch. That's what I came up with for my back darts. For you, depending on how much butt you have, again, I said butt, is going to determine how much dart you are going to take in, but in general, you want them almost to the center, but sort of slightly to the side. Yeah. Some of it is going to end up being trial and error when it comes to fit, and we are going to be making a mock-up of this before we use our good fashion fabric. Just saying. This is how I have decided to handle the front darts. So from here to here is the distance of my front waist arc plus the amount of dart that I am taking up, which in the front is a total of 1 1/4, because I'm using 2 5/8 inch darts, which you can see are here, and my darts are going to be 3 inches long. I think we got it. As I've said probably more than once now, the amount of dart that you take in is very directly influenced by your particular shape. So if you, as I've said before, are built like a wasp, you're going to have more dart taken up, whereas if you're kind of slim in the hip, you're going to have less. Then draw the legs of the back dart. Back dart or back darts, depending on how many you have. And draw the legs of the front dart too. Front darts, again, depending on how many you have. And here at the top, we are going to use our hip curve again, and we are going to draw from here, letter S, where I extended the back a little bit. We're going to draw a curve that goes to the side seam. And then, on the front, we're going to go down 1/4 of an inch here at the very center front, for the same reason that we went up a little bit in the back. And we are going to draw a line with the curved ruler to the side seam. And of course, we must extend our dart legs. Maybe I should have drawn the darts afterwards, but we don't have to extend those because we went down, of course. Here's where we get our hip curve, and for the front we will line the curve up to that point there and draw our curve. And the same thing on the back. I don't have a lot of curviness here because I had to take a lot in the dart. Is it starting to look like a pants? So this is where I extended it up, and I used the curved ruler to draw down to the side seam. And then in the front, I went down 1/4 inch, and I used the curved ruler to draw to the side seam. So here on the back, where the crotch originally was at letter I, we are going to line up the ruler to that, and then we are going to draw a straight line between that and the hem. And then we're going to take our curve, and that little extension is going to have a little bit of a curve to it. So right here, the original line, and then here's a little bit of curve to it. And we are going to do the same thing to the front. Down here at the hem, this is the grain line, crease line that I just drew. I've squared out 4.5 inches on the back for the ankle, and at the front I have squared out 4 inches. The out seams are going to be fairly simple at starting here at C. We are going to draw a line that then goes all the way to where we drew the ankle. And you can definitely like ease curve a little bit in that area if you want to. Also, the amount that you make for the ankles, like if you want them like a little bigger or a little smaller, that's fine. If you're a particularly small person, you probably want them smaller, and if you are a particularly large person, then you want them larger. It's the width of the bottom of your pants is entirely at your discretion. You like them big, you like them tight, whatever you like. Since the difference between the front side seam and the back side seam is so stark, I'm going to equalize them by measuring the distance between the two. So we are at 1 3/4. So half of 1 3/4 is 7/8. Yeah, so I'm gonna mark 7/8 out from A. And then I'm gonna draw new curves. Let's see if we can get it. Yeah, you can see a little better now. See, I measured out 7/8 from this original line, so now I have 2. And now we have, this is the correct line and this is the correct line, and don't cut on that one. And this, friends, is the trouser foundation. I have my trouser foundation complete. I am going to cut them out, but we are not ready to cut them out of fabric. They do not have seam allowance. I have made no interesting changes. They're just the trouser foundation, okay? But we are cutting them out so that I can separate them and then trace around them, etc., to start making the fun changes. Alright, so the first thing that I'm going to do with my new trouser foundation is I'm going to trace the front and the back so that I can add seam allowance. I haven't made any fun changes or anything to them. No pockets or nothing on them yet. The reason that I'm doing this is so that I can cut them out of basically trash fabric. I plan on using an old bed sheet. So this would normally be called the muslin mock-up. Muslin is a type of fabric that's like unbleached cotton, generally very inexpensive, but you know what's better than inexpensive? Free. And you know what's free? The nasty old sheets from my bed. I washed them. So this is the front. I'm going to trace around it and add seam allowance. I am, of course, doing the same thing to the back that I did to the front. I'm tracing around it. Then I'm going to add the chunky seam allowance. And then I'm going to cut it out. I also need to true the darts, and the way that we do this is we fold along this as best as we can, make those little darts line up. This, I believe it's called a needle wheel. So, fold these and get them lined up, and then use that to make marks through it. And then you'll have a better idea of truing the darts. This would be more of a big deal if it was a very curved area. I just want to point out that this is when I trued the darts on the back seat. You'll come to a point here, and that's because these darts are so much bigger and the back waistline is curved a little bit. So if I were to just cut them flat, they would actually end up going down in the middle, and then they may not get captured in the seam allowance of the waistband, etc. when I go to create the finished garment. But here we are. And yeah, you can see my little needle wheel holes there. Here they are. Now I'm going to cut them out of the pseudo muslin, I suppose you might call it. If your front and back look a lot alike, then you'll definitely want to make some note to self of some sort, which is which. My back darts are significantly larger than my front darts, and that to me is a good indicator of which is which. But if yours are not, then you will want to make note of which is which. Now we are sewing the mock-up. Doing the darts, much like I would do just about any other pants darts. Stitch them back to back at the top. Stitch all the way to the point. Go off the edge. And then go back into the flesh of the dart and do just a little back tack. I recommend pressing the darts in the same way that you would press them if you were making your actual trousers, because pressing them can actually literally make them hang a little bit differently, and I would not want my trousers to look funny because I went with an unpressed dart in my mock-up. Much in the way that I would sew together regular trousers, I'm going to start by sewing the crotch seams, like back to back and front to front. I'm also going to press open these seams, and I am not going to bother serging them because, again, I'm not going to wear this out in public. I'm not going to wash it. It's just a mock-up. And now we are going to sew the inseam. And I'm going to start at the middle where the crotch seams line up, because I want to make sure that that part lines up. So I'm going to start there. Oh, I forgot to mention, don't sew together like the top half of the front crotch seam, because we're gonna have to actually put these on. So if you sew it shut, you might not get them over your hips. No, you don't actually get to see me take my pants off, sorry. Alright, here's the first fitting. They are looser than I expected. By a lot. By at least 2 inches. So, I suppose the next question is, where am I going to take out this 2 inches? I guess I better also explain that I have this pinned up here, but I should put some more pins in. Be very, very careful using straight pins on your body. So if I pull it together here, not sure how I feel about this. I don't think that they are supposed to have a pleat, because I would have to add in the pleat, because not everybody wants a pleat in their trousers. I'm not sure if I do yet. I'm not sure if I want a pleat. I have a thing, like, I used to think that pleated trousers were like for old people, but now I am an old people. Okay, but so when the waist is up at my waist, old timey gangsta, up at my waist where it's supposed to be. Okay, what's the back like? Is this too much? Kind of a little bit pointy here, I noticed. Maybe I can just trim that off a little bit and maybe it wouldn't be too weird. I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna trim this, make it a little bit less pointy. So it's not supposed to like go in at the butt or anything. It's, as I said, it's literally supposed to hang away from the butt. So this is the full butt view. Again, with the word butt. You can't talk about trousers and not say the word butt. I think I like the way that the back end of it is. I like this. I think I want to take the excess out of the front. Do I want to take the excess all the way down? Like if I just like pin this here and pulled out an inch here? No, I don't like that, because that would make that definitely too tight in the thigh. So I need all this room in the thigh, but I don't need it up here. So I think I'm going to, I think I could take a little bit off the side. I think I want to take it out of the side seam, to be honest. I don't really like the way that it pulls a little bit this way if I do that. Maybe I should, would it be possible to take it out of the center? I mean, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in an inch here. And then I'm going to go down. And then when I get here, I'm going to blend to this curve. This is a straight line at the front here. And I think that's probably where it would be best to take it in. So, before I make the changes on my foundation, I'm going to sew. Maybe not sew, because then I have to get these on somehow. I'm just going to cut. That's it. Cut and pin, because this is where the opening is going to be. But yeah, we definitely cannot have my trousers falling down to my hips. That would be weird. So, gotta take them in. I think the center front is the place to do that. So I will cut, and then I will come back. Here we are. After having taken the waist in just a little bit, I have once again pinned the front. That. Oh, I should also point out that this is the length of the pants, trousers. This is an appropriate length for being sock feet, but if I were to be wearing shoes that had any sort of heel at all, I would probably want to make the trousers just a little bit longer. Even just like the little bit of lift that a sneaker gives would make these probably too short. So I think I would make these pants maybe an inch longer. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make them just a little bit longer. I hope you have enjoyed watching me draft a trouser foundation. Now I am going to go running and eat some second breakfast like a hobbit. And then go down and blend to the curve. And I'm not even on camera.